The camera opens on a sleek silhouette of a car unlike any you've seen before, its lines glowing under soft studio lights. A voice cuts through the silence. What if I told you that the future of driving isn't just electric, it's endless? No fuel. No charging. No limits. That's the promise of Maxwell Chikumbutso's self-powered EV, and today we're diving into what it is, how it works, where you can buy one, and the answers to the questions that have kept millions talking. It all started with whispers, a Zimbabwean inventor building a car that could run without fuel, without charging, and without ever being plugged in. Some dismissed it as fantasy, others as science fiction. Yet here it stands today, a real vehicle that has caught the world's attention. The car uses what Maxwell calls his green power generator, a revolutionary device said to harness clean, sustainable energy directly from the environment. The result? A car that never stops running, leaving even Tesla and other EV giants scrambling for explanations. But here's the question on everyone's lips: can you actually buy one? The answer, surprisingly, is yes, but with a story that's far more complex than simply walking into a dealership. Maxwell's vehicles, though real, have been entangled in politics, disbelief, and the enormous weight of global industry pressure. Early prototypes were demonstrated publicly, drawing crowds stunned at what they were seeing. A car driving mile after mile with no fuel tank and no charging port. People demanded answers. Was it magnets? Was it hidden batteries? Or something else entirely? This is where Maxwell made his boldest move, inviting investors, governments, and ordinary people to take part in what he describes as a revolution of energy independence. Rather than selling his technology in the traditional way, he opened doors for collaborations, partnerships, and direct interest in his company, Seth Technologies. For many, this means that the path to owning one of his vehicles isn't about visiting a local showroom. It's about understanding the bigger mission, one that ties into freeing entire nations from the grip of fuel dependency. And yet, despite all the complexities, there are real people today who've test-driven these cars. Videos and reports from Africa show prototypes on the road, smooth, quiet, and moving with a confidence that leaves even skeptics unsettled. The excitement is building, but so are the questions. How much will it cost? Can it be imported? Will it pass safety tests abroad? And most importantly, why aren't we seeing them everywhere already if the technology truly works? As the mystery deepens, so does the determination of Maxwell and his supporters. They insist that the barriers are not technological, but political and financial. The world is ready, Maxwell once said in an interview, but the system is not. And that statement alone has sparked a movement of believers who are willing to push for the car's entry into global markets, no matter the resistance. To understand how one might actually purchase Maxwell's fuel-free EV, we need to look at the current stage of distribution. At this point, there are no mass-market showrooms in Europe, America, or Asia stocking these cars. Instead, the vehicles are accessible mainly through Seth Technologies' direct channels, with Maxwell personally guiding early adoption. It isn't a simple transaction of cash for car, it's about joining a vision, becoming part of a community of pioneers who believe in reshaping the very foundation of energy and transportation. The cost is another question that stirs debate. Maxwell himself has spoken about making the technology affordable, not just for the wealthy elite, but for the everyday person. His goal, he insists, isn't just profit, it's impact. Some reports mention price points around $14,000 to $20,000 for early versions of his EVs, a fraction of the cost of most electric cars currently on the market. But here's the catch: the true price isn't only financial. Owning one of these cars today is about access, belief, and timing. And of course, the questions keep coming. Skeptics demand to know how the cars will pass international safety regulations. Supporters want clarity on whether Maxwell will license the technology or retain it fully within his company. Tech enthusiasts ask how long the green power generator can last before maintenance is required. Maxwell answers calmly, emphasizing that his technology has been tested for years and continues to evolve, becoming more robust with every iteration. For those eager to buy, there are pathways forming. Potential customers and investors can connect with Seth Technologies directly, expressing interest and being part of pilot programs aimed at expanding production. Some African countries are already in talks about adopting Maxwell's designs not just for cars, but for buses, trucks, and even power grids. If those deals finalize, wider access may soon follow. The idea of walking into a dealership and driving out with a fuel-free EV might not be reality today, but the steps toward it are already being taken. The real question isn't whether the cars will be available worldwide, it's when, and who will be brave enough to open the door first. The world is watching. Supporters wait with hope. Skeptics wait with doubt. And somewhere in Harare, Maxwell Chikumbutso is still building, still refining, still pushing forward, knowing that every mile driven without fuel brings him closer to rewriting the history of energy forever. International automakers are beginning to take notice. Whispers ripple through corporate boardrooms in Detroit, Tokyo, and Stuttgart. Executives accustomed to controlling the narrative of electric mobility are suddenly confronted with a disruptor who never played by their rules. Unlike them, Maxwell doesn't rely on massive battery factories or sprawling fuel supply chains. His solution sidesteps all of it, raising an uncomfortable possibility. If his technology scales, entire industries could become obsolete almost overnight. The media's role cannot be overstated. Headlines shift from skepticism to cautious curiosity as more demonstrations appear online. Footage of Maxwell's vehicles running for hours without any visible charging connection sparks heated debates. Scientists demand peer-reviewed data, while ordinary citizens demand access. The story no longer feels like the claim of a lone inventor, it's becoming a global phenomenon. Behind the scenes, powerful interests are maneuvering. Energy companies quietly commission reports to assess the threat to their business models. Governments weigh whether to regulate, resist, or embrace the new paradigm. And investors, drawn by both excitement and fear of missing out, begin circling Seth Technologies. The race to secure early stakes intensifies, as everyone senses that this moment could define the next century of energy and transport. But Maxwell himself remains remarkably grounded. In interviews, he speaks less about profit and more about legacy. He insists that his mission is to empower communities long denied access to affordable energy, starting in Africa but spreading across the globe. To him, this is not just a business, it's a responsibility. And so, the movement builds. Some are skeptical, others hopeful. Yet all eyes remain fixed on one question. Will Maxwell Chikumbutso's fuel-free EV transition from a visionary prototype to a force that reshapes the world forever? The first signs of global rollout come quietly, almost like a whisper before a storm. A fleet of Maxwell's vehicles appears in select African cities, leased to local families and small businesses at prices unimaginable in the Western EV market. The results are staggering. Families no longer budget for fuel, businesses slash operating costs, and taxi drivers report profits they've never seen before. The ripple effects are immediate. More disposable income circulates, new jobs emerge, and energy poverty begins to shrink. Then comes the International Pilot Program. Small batches of vehicles are shipped to Europe and North America, not as flashy showroom models, but as test fleets in real-world conditions. Journalists are stunned when they see the cars outperform expectations, running day and night without ever stopping for a charge. Online forums explode with testimonials from drivers, some even live-streaming their dashboards to prove the claims are real. The automotive world enters a panic. Traditional manufacturers rush to issue statements, dismissing Maxwell's cars as unproven or unsafe, but the public isn't listening anymore. The demand is too strong. For the first time, consumers are not begging for technology, they are demanding it. Waiting lists stretch into the thousands, then tens of thousands, as anticipation builds. Meanwhile, energy giants push back harder. Lobbyists flood government offices, warning of economic disruption and job losses. But politicians, sensing both public approval and the chance to claim visionary leadership, begin to shift their tone. Policies once designed to protect fossil fuel interests start bending in favor of innovation. A tipping point is near, and everyone knows it. Yet through all the chaos, Maxwell remains calm, almost serene. He warns against greed and reminds investors and governments that the technology's true power lies in freeing humanity from dependency, not creating a new monopoly. His vision is clear, a world where energy is no longer a privilege, but a right. And as the first major order for mass production looms, the world waits with bated breath, knowing that history is about to pivot. The question isn't if Maxwell's EV will change the game, it's how soon. The turning point arrives when a European nation, small but bold, signs an exclusive deal with Maxwell Seth Technology to integrate his fuel-free EVs into their national transportation fleet. Overnight, their government buses, municipal cars, and even police vehicles are converted. The news spreads like wildfire. A country has officially adopted self-powered cars as state policy. Almost immediately, international markets react. Stock prices of oil and energy companies wobble, while legacy car makers scramble to reassure shareholders that they are developing alternatives. But behind closed doors, they know the race is already lost. For the first time, the balance of power in global industry is shifting away from century-old giants toward a man who began his work in a modest workshop in Zimbabwe. The adoption accelerates. Cities in Asia and South America begin importing small fleets, eager to test the technology under their own conditions. Videos of the cars weaving through traffic without ever stopping at charging stations become viral sensations online. News anchors call it the death of the gas pump, while influencers ride the wave, filming road trips that span hundreds of miles without a single fuel stop. In Africa, the effect is nothing short of revolutionary. Villages that once relied on costly generators or sporadic fuel deliveries now see a future where transport doesn't depend on outside aid. Maxwell's cars become symbols of self-reliance, empowerment, and pride. To many, it's more than just a car, it's proof that Africa can lead the world in technological revolutions. But as the excitement builds, so too does the resistance. Reports surface of sudden investigations into Maxwell's patents, attempts to block shipments at international borders, and smear campaigns branding the vehicles as unsafe or fraudulent. It is clear that powerful interests are not ready to surrender their grip on the global energy market. Still, Maxwell presses forward, undeterred. His message remains consistent. The technology belongs to humanity, not to corporations. Each car on the road is more than a vehicle. It is a statement that the age of energy dependence is ending. And with every passing day, the waiting lists grow longer, the public grows louder, and the world edges closer to an irreversible shift. The revolution that began with a single prototype is now unstoppable.